It can be hard enough working out how much state pension you're entitled to if you've only ever worked in the UK. But what about people who've worked in 2 countries? For my column for This Is Money this week, I'm responding to a reader who'd spent some time living and working in Spain and some time living and working in the UK. She had 8 years paid into the UK system and 4 years paid into the Spanish system. Well, the way it works is that if you are potentially entitled to a pension from both governments, you apply to both, but through your home country. So you apply for a UK pension and you also apply through the UK for a Spanish pension. Well, in this case, the lady simply didn't have enough contributions and as recent enough contributions to get anything from the Spanish government. For the UK, she had these 8 years that she'd paid in, and the problem with that is that you need 10 years to get any pension at all in the UK. So you don't get a pro rata amount. If you're under 10, you get nothing at all if you don't have 10. But in fact, the way the system works is that for countries, for example, in the EU, where we still have a deal even after Brexit, time spent working in those countries can be added to the time in the UK to satisfy that 10-year test. So in this case, the reader had 8 years in the UK, 4 years in Spain, which made 12, tick, that satisfies the 10-year test. And she then should get a UK state pension based on her 8 actual years of contributions. Unfortunately, when our reader tried to do this, she got nowhere. She had to try and ring up HMRC and DWP. She even went to the Spanish consulate to try and get things sorted out, and she just couldn't do it. So earlier this year, because our reader's now been past pension age for well over 2 years, they phoned again, the couple, and were advised that what she could do was pay some voluntary national insurance, 2 years, to get her up to the 10 years in any case. So that's what they did. But even after doing that, nothing seemed to be happening. And when they checked the NI record, instead of showing 10, it showed 9 years. So it's baffling and really frustrating for the family. Well, I contacted the DWP, who very quickly sorted things out, and the lady's now going to get over £3,000 a year of pension, plus some arrears. But to clarify what should have happened, first of all, when she applied with her 8 years, they should have taken account of the Spanish years. We don't really know why they didn't. So in fact, she didn't need to pay those extra voluntary years. She could have had a pension based on her 8 years in the UK. Second, when you pay voluntary contributions, they can make a big difference. In this case, if we ignore the Spanish contributions completely, those extra 2 years, which didn't cost a huge amount of money, got her from getting nothing to getting several £1,000s a year. So these voluntary contributions to get you to that 10-year minimum can be incredibly good value for money, as long as you're not on benefit and simply gaining with one hand on pension and losing on the other hand on benefit. So it's slightly messy, slightly complicated, and the rules do vary for different countries. So whilst in the EU, if you worked in the EU, those years count towards your UK record, it can be different for countries outside the EU, depending on the deal the UK has with that country. So you need to check country by country. But I think a crucial point that strikes me out of all of this is that for people who are just a bit shy of that minimum 10 years, there are ways to get over the 10-year and to actually get some pension, often in a very cost-effective way.